Got it. Preparing to live stream. Okay. All right. So I'm starting the YouTube. So we're going to talk about live sole in the heels and why you should not trim down to live sole, or what some people are calling hard sole, because you will wind up trimming the heels totally out of the horse. Because as the back of the foot is distorted and pulled down, the heels, the actual physical heel gets shoved up into the foot, like I was showing you on this here. And so before we started this YouTube, I was talking about this deal I put together here, how now you have groups teaching that horses have no heels whatsoever. And so you can stop the video and study this, read all the things and study it. This is what's being promoted. This is a drawing out of Jamie Jackson's book of this one rear foot of a horse that they want to put on every horse now. But this foot here, this is off a wild horse. Now, this guy, I don't know if this guy passed away or what, but this was a farrier on the internet 10, 12 years ago. And somebody found a wild horse's foot, okay, and gave it to him, and he dissected it. And this foot was the exact internally, then he sliced it in half. This foot here was the exact opposite of Jamie Jackson's one rear wild horse foot that wore its heels out. And this is not my dissection here. This is a foot somebody else dissected, I don't know, and took the hoof capsule off of and skinned it also. And so you can see clearly that this horse had a heel. See the heel? And the heel bub is up off the ground up here. Now, I'm sorry, okay, if this is the image that's been put into your mind and you don't like the fact that a horse has its bulb up here, okay, I'm sorry, but this is the true foot of the horse. It's the foot that's inside. And so this is where its bulb is. On this wild horse, his bulb was up here. See, he would have had heel to fit this. On this wild horse, we know it was a mare, her heels had been so worn off that the whole back of the foot was pulled down to the ground and she's walking on her bulbs. Okay? And so this is the drawing of the foot that to show how the horn tubules go in this foot, supposedly, and how you're supposed to trim your horse to get your horse's foot to doing the same thing. So which, like I say, which foot, which capsule, which shoe, that's all this is. It's a shell. It's a shoe. What would happen if I tried to fit this shoe? Okay, I got to fit this shoe here onto this foot. Let me do something here. Let's open with paint, so I can do more in paint. Just a minute here. Okay, so okay, so this is your horse's foot, and she goes into the shoe store, and man, she really likes these shoes because they make her feet look small, you know, and stuff. And so she wants to try them on there. There's where the bulb goes, right down there. So she says, let me try those shoes on. Oh, well, let's see. Oh, man, wait a minute. Maybe I can get my foot in there. Hold on. Wait, I'll just really, really jam. Ah. Oh, man, those hurt. No, I don't think I'm going to be able to wear those. Yeah, I know I'm being silly. Let's see. don't fit. She says, well, I'm going to have to go with something a little bigger that fits my foot. So she's going to come over here and get this minute. Get this foot. Okay, well, let's see. Let's see if it fits. Ah, yeah, that fits. See there? That foot? That fits the foot. There, we got it right on the bulb there. There we go. Look there, even got some sole. This is how I like to play around in my spare time. Doing stuff like that. So, horses have heels. Many, all horses have this foot, but and a little different, it can be a little different here and there, depending on how much they wear their heels down or how much excess growth they have or who trims them or whatever, it can deform this foot because this foot is 2/3 soft cartilage and fat and only 1/3 bone. I mean, look at this foot even over here. Look at where the bone is. Well, what about all this back here? What about it? See? So, like I said, are we killing our horses by forcing a foot on them they were never meant to have? Yes. It's happening all over the world. Yes. Okay, so that's all I want to do on there. So hold on. And I'm going to show you what happens, why you should not trim to the live sole plane, which some people are calling the hard sole plane, and that just having hard sole, you better understand the sole, because sole can be retained in a foot in different ways and compacted so that it's very hard and hard to get out, but it's not live sole, it's dead sole that's been retained. And it's not supposed to be in your horse's foot, by the way. Okay, so I'm going to go to this picture here of a dissection I did that I've shown before. One of the first full dissections I did on this horse that I trimmed for 8 months. And I was doing barefoot trimming, and I was trimming his heels out. And I know now and can look back, and I know that that horse had great feet. I wish I might have some pictures somewhere on them other hard drives, but I wish I had pictures of what his foot was before I trimmed it for 8 months. I think I did at one point, but I never thought I was going to need something like that or use something like that. And so let's see here. Got to find cartilage. ABC cartilage. There we go. Okay, just a second here. In fact, we'll just look at cartilage and stuff here too today. But let me find these pictures. Why is that like that? Okay. Okay, open up. Let's see. New share. Okay. Okay, so the coronary band. The coronary band is meant, this is the coronary band, it's meant to be straight. It's meant to be like that. Now this one, there's some distortion and stuff, but that is how the coronary band is meant to be. And then, your heel buttress grows from here. Right there is where your heel buttress grows. That's the heel buttress. That wasn't very good. Wait a minute. Okay, heel buttress grows. Now here's the back of your heel. See that? Okay, now we just looked at now this is a rear foot. Okay. So how I said I think front feet have more heel than rear feet, maybe? Maybe not all horses, but in this and some of this heel might have been, well, he didn't have, no, this is his heel right here. That's his heel. On that other horse we just looked at, let's go over there just a minute. Oh. Okay, see that? Look at the heel on this horse right here. Let me do this again. Let's see. This is front foot. See that? Okay, that now they're never supposed to have their bulbs on the ground. Never. Okay, but you see here that this foot, which is a front foot, has a lot of heel. Okay, so this could be the reason too why you'll see all these horses. The back feet are never as bad as the front feet when they're trimming the heels out, and the front feet can go into terrible rotation and laminitis, mechanical laminitis. So the more heel the horse is supposed to have, the more devastating it is when you trim the heel out and try and pull this bulb down to the ground. So I have a picture of, I did a dissection on a mare, and she was totally foundered in her front feet. I put pictures on there. It shows the coffin bone and the sole corium all worn away in the toe. Okay, so she had feet like this. But her back feet were great. They weren't foundered. They didn't have laminitis at all. They weren't rotated, nothing. Okay, they were great, and they did not have as much of this. They were more like about that much, maybe. So I'm not saying that's on all horses, but I have been noticing that trimming the heels out is more devastating on the front feet than the rear. So just something to think about. Okay, so let's go back to this cartilage here. Okay, so I trimmed the heels out of this horse for 8 months, not knowing that when you trim the heels out, it pulls the bulb down to the ground. And I just showed you on the other feet how as you're trimming the heels out and it's pulling the back of the foot down, it's crushing the heels up into the foot like that. It's also, look at this frog corium here. What's it doing to that? See, that frog corium is supposed to be, if you pulled this up here, it would pull that frog corium back here too. So not only is this pushing and crushing the heels forward and up into the foot, it is pulling that frog corium down and under and forcing it forward as well. And so I didn't know any of this. And I took this picture. And then a couple days later, I put that foot in. I didn't know how to preserve it or what. I still wanted to take pictures of it. So I took borax and salt and mixed it together, and I put it in a bed of borax and salt. And during that time, the cartilage moved back into the position it was supposed to be in. I didn't know that at all either, even when I took this picture. So I had this foot, and I think I got another picture of it here. We'll find it. There it is. This is it. Okay. This would have been like a day later. And then I was trying to figure out where the cartilages were and stuff. This was like a day later. And then this here was a couple days later. And so I had that foot. I had it sitting down. I was taking pictures, and I had the capsule sitting over there that I took the frog out of. And I thought, well, I'm going to set the foot on the frog. And I remember setting that foot on that frog and going, why doesn't it fit anymore? Why doesn't the frog fit anymore? Why didn't the back here, the bulb skin and stuff, why doesn't it fit? I didn't understand till years later when I'm looking at the pictures. And then I saw, and because then I knew about foot binding. I knew how as we trim the heels out, it pulls the whole back of the foot down and shoves everything. See, down, under, and forward. Oh, and this part up, forward and up. And so then I understood what happened. That this foot, the cartilage had returned up where it close to where it should be. And so then when I put it, now it's in a different position altogether. Do you see that? So then when I put the frog that had been growing and being deformed and distorted and pushed forward right here, when I set it on the frog, it no longer fit. And so I put this in paint, and I cut out the frog here, like so. And I took it over here, and it fit perfectly on this foot that was deformed. And here's something I want you to know. Okay, so as you're trimming the heels out and it's pulling the bulbs down to the ground, now the frog corium's connected and everything to the back of that foot there. And so this is pulling this. It's also taking that frog and forcing it down and pushing it under the foot, right? Look here. Just a minute. Let me get a brighter color. You see how this is? That's how that frog is. You know what that is? What is that? I just took a frog that should have been stretched out up here, and I forced it forward. What happened right there?
It went into the foot.
Right, it bent, didn't it?
Yes, it bent into the foot.
Yeah, it bent up into the foot. How must that feel? Right? This horse had super frogs. I had the frog in vinegar up here for the longest time, and then the vinegar ate through the top of the jar lid. It's all dried out now, but I still have the frog all dried out. You know, uh, so what is happening back here? Here's the sole in the seat of the corn, right here. See that? That should be your heel platform, that triangular area of sole in the back where the buttress meets the bar. Okay, so that grows right from there. Okay, so what happens to that as it's shoved up into the foot and the capsule is coming forward? Well, it's getting covered up by horn tubules. Well, look, what is happening to the sole as this is all happening? Back here, what's happening to this sole? It's all, I mean, you think about it. As you're trimming the heels out, you are deforming and distorting and moving the whole bottom of the foot. You know, this is all being forced forward as well. All the corium is being forced forward. And even the frog hair, look at this, how it pooches out. So not only is it being bent up like that, it's being forced to pooch out like that as well. And so what is happening right here? Well, what happens is you start to form false heel, and then right in here, it's getting pushed up into the foot, and your heels are moving forward like okay, I'm going to draw a picture. I don't draw a very good foot. Let's say that's the heels. That's not very good. Just a minute. Let's make a bigger one. Okay, and what should we use for sole? Oh, Okay, we'll just use, let's just say this is the sole in the heel right here on a good foot. Okay, this is the sole. Okay, but your heel here is moving forward and it's becoming a false heel. Eventually it moves up and it's here. It's moved up and it's there. Well, what happened to the sole that was growing down from here? It got covered up. It's no longer growing. Okay, instead, this area right here has now become the seat of the corn. Well, as this is happening, what'll happen is the sole gets flaky back here, flaky and dies. And so if you keep trimming down to the live sole right there, you're just helping it. You're just helping it to weaken and to pull all this down and to cover this area up. I mean, you wind up having, instead of the sole that you had here, the real sole, you got a fake heel and you got sole that's growing from, like, say, right this part forward, because you have covered all this part up and shoved it up into the foot and it's not growing anymore. And so as we restore the feet intact and we're bringing the bar, that's why we got to keep bringing the bars back, and the foot keeps expanding and the heel starts moving back and it starts opening up that place that got quit growing sole and got covered up, and then that sole start growing again. Now,
Linda,
yeah,
can you can you please draw the bars also? Because usually the bars take over this place, and when you try to clean it, you find always the white line of the bars laid on this part.
yeah, and I've seen the, well, look here. This is, I'll show you something here. Picture of my own horse.
Usually this is what you have to take off to get the sole growing again.
And yeah, when you're expanding the heel, you know,
Yes,
and
and you have
it
to
just kind
take
of
off
works in reverse, you
you
know.
have to scrub the white line of the bars that are laying over this area also.
Yeah, well, and see, and the white line can move too. What I noticed, like, here, let me show you something. Just a second here. Oh, that's the wrong one. Darn it. Hold on. Okay, let's see. Find the right photo. Okay. Okay, so this is 1119, and I thought I had a really good foot. I thought that, let me annotate just a second here. Why is that even called that? I don't even know. Okay, so if you look at this, just a second, you're going to see a clean white line, pretty much what you, almost all the way around. Just a second here. Get that out of the way. Okay. You see how that has a clean white line all the way around, and even kind of into here. You see that? Okay, well, here's the deal. Uh this was not the true sole okay, so the true sole would grow from the heel of the inner foot, right? Would grow from, just a minute. Let me find this here. Just a second. THI. Okay, well, we'll look at this first. I don't know why that didn't want to open. Okay, we're going to look at this just a second. Okay. Okay, so here is a foot. I'm going to use red. Here's a foot. Now look here. Here's the heel. Internal heel. Right there. That is the heel. Okay, so the whole foot comes clear up here, around. Here's the coronary band. Right here. And so the whole foot, you got to always remember, this is the whole foot here. Okay, so this heel, the sole grows from, that you're going to see down here, okay, grows from this part of the heel here. All these sole tubules right there in the, right about to here is your heel, that triangular section between the bar and the wall. And it grows from the bottom of the heel here. But when your heels are trimmed out, okay, and your bulbs and everything are, wrapped around or pulled down or whatever, this part is no longer showing. It's been covered up. It's been wrapped around. When you cover up these tubules that grow things, they don't grow them anymore. And so you would have a foot that was, like say all this had been wrapped around up to here. Okay, this is your foot now. This part is gone. It's been compressed and wrapped around and shoved up into there. Okay, so here's where your capsule ends right here, and actually it can even look like that. Here, I'll make it black. That's where your capsule's ending. Now, the seat, what you think is the seat of the corn, that little triangular area, the sole is actually growing from right here, not from back here, because this has been wrapped around or pulled down or covered over or something. It's covered over and not growing anymore. And so you have this smaller foot here. And what you think is the seed of the corn is not, it's a false seed of the corn. Because your seed of the corn that actually grows from the real heel that's right here has either been shoved up into the foot like that or wrapped around into it like that and is no longer growing at all. You have a false foot. You have a false heel. You have, it's the real sole, but it's not the true sole in that triangular area there. See? It's not the true sole right here that grows in there. That, all that. So, let me see here. Let's see. New share. Okay, so that's what happens here. It gets so that this part is covered up and shoved up into the foot. You got false heels. And so the sole you see in what you think is the seed of the corn is not the true seed of the corn and is not growing from the true part of the foot. And your foot is smaller. See? So in my foot here in 2019, I'm looking at this foot here and I'm thinking, I got a pretty good foot. I've got really good things going here. I've got what looks to be a healthy, tight frog with no thrush. I've got what looks to be healthy, good, upright bars. I've got a white line all the way around. I don't have to scoop the foot at all. And I've got, well, nice straight bars again. I've got 2-inch heels, easy. And look here, I've got all this nice sole right here in the heel platform. Let's see. Oops, wait a minute. I've got all this nice sole in the heel platform right in here. See all that nice sole? Full sole too, not hollow on either side like it was, so that on the lateral side it was hollow for a long time, because the run forward heel and stuff on that side. But I mean, I've got what I really think is a good foot. But this was not the true heel, not the true foot at all. Now, how do you know? You know, um, just a minute here. Okay, so just a second. I'll, yeah, gotta find this other picture. Just a second. Okay, here's good. Okay, so here's all the views of that foot. Okay, here is before, and I did this because I wanted to show people about trim, and I wanted to show what how you take off the hard outer tubules. See there? Okay, see how I marked them right here? You know, that's what I would take off in a bevel. I wanted to show the foot here before I beveled it, what it looked like before I beveled it. I wanted to show, you know, what the front of the foot looked like before I beveled it, and how, how we talk about it, the symmetry, and how, wasn't jammed up here. And, I had, pretty symmetrical moon sickle here. And I had 3 1/4, a little over 3 1/4 inches here. So I got some sole. Okay. And so then I wanted to show what it looked like after I beveled it. Okay. And then I wanted to show a side view, what it looked like after I beveled it, and another anterior or frontal view. And I thought I was doing good. But why wasn't, who can answer the question for why, who could look at this foot and tell now, from what you know now, here, let me make it bigger. Who could look at this foot and tell that I'm not doing as good as I think I am?
Rounded cartilage.
Right, exactly. This is not anatomically correct. So you can have all this great stuff, and it's still not the real, true foot of the horse. So a set of circumstances happened that brought to my attention that it's very possible. Well, one thing that happened was when my feet would get really wet during the wet season, this cartilage would expand, and this area between the bulbs right here would expand and widen out too. And then it would all suck up again. And so that was one key. Another key was I learned some more things about the behavior of that periopal band. And so I just started thinking that my foot was, I didn't know, like, let's see here. Let me get an annotate here. Okay, I didn't know that this was going on, that the foot was wrapped around and hidden up in there. Okay, I didn't know that. But I did know that this sure didn't look right. And that when I would look at, like, I don't have any pictures of it here, but a lot of times I will take pictures, well, either holding the foot up, looking down at the heels, and I always take pictures of the foot on the ground looking at the heels. And so I would look at the back of the foot, and this little thing right here, it, when it was really wet, it would get way wider. And then when it would dry out, it would close up. Okay, now, so I just started thinking about that. And I did an experiment to see if I could release that. And just a minute here. Let me undo all this annotate stuff. Okay. So let me find that picture because I've shared this before. Now, let me think here where that picture would be. Well, and here's another thing. I've noticed the difference in between those bulbs for years. How weird stuff would happen, you know? Uh, like here, you can look at this. Oops. See how wide that is there? Look at how big my bulbs are there. Look at the difference. See? Um, just I've always noticed weird things going on in there. See, look at all the different ways your bulbs can look. How that looks different. So anyway, what I started doing was I started trimming out between the bulbs here. And I soaked the foot. At one point, I soaked that foot for 3 days. Let me find that picture because I've showed that a lot. But you know, repetition is key to learning more. Once you get repetition is key to learning more. That is the God's truth. Um, let's see where I'm at. Okay, right here. Okay, so now again, we're thinking about the heels and the sole that grows in the very heel of the foot itself. That is the true heel. And almost all of our horses do not have that going for them at this time. Let's see. Okay. So I've showed this a lot. Okay, so here's that foot. Let's see here. Here's that foot that had that round bulb. Okay, so that was the picture I showed you of where I thought I had the good foot. That was on 11 in 11. Did I say 19?
That's what it
Something
said
like
on the
that.
picture.
Huh?
It says
I got the wrong.
1119 on the picture.
Okay, it was in a. Okay, it was in. I know that this was. I thought. Well, anyway, a year later. I guess it was about a year later that I figured out that wasn't correct, and I wound up doing this experiment. I thought this was right after that, but it wasn't. Dates don't lie. Okay, so okay, uh, so I did this experiment where I totally trimmed out all that periopal that had grown between the bulbs and over the frog into the central sulcus. And I soaked the foot for 3 days. And here's what happened. Okay. By the second day, the cartilage had extended. Well, here's the first day. There's that funky looking bulb. Here's the second day. That's more like what the true cartilage is. Let me undo this here because I gotta show that other one. Oops, wait a minute. Okay, but here is the third day. See, it's extended even more. Now, the problem was that there was no frog stay in there to hold it in place. That's why it's called the frog stay, because the object is that when the heels are being trimmed out, it strips that out of the foot, or it moves it into a place it's not supposed to be. And so, because the frog is being deformed. And so then as you're correcting the foot, that frog stay must move back until your bulbs are completely extended back here and your heels come back. And then what happens is that frog corium gets pushed back where it's supposed to, and then you let the frog grow and establish. I'm not like, I don't think you should always be trimming the frog way down necessarily, but I know that we have to learn how to trim that frog at the right time, the right way, to get things to move without it letting the heels contract, so that the whole frog corium can move back, so that the cartilages can fully extend, so that then you can regrow that frog in the correct place, so it will bind and hold together that whole back of that foot. And so that is why also we trim frogs the way we do, so because it makes them supple enough for, if the foot wants to move like this, that the cartilage can expand. And let's see here, let me find, okay, so ideally now his heel is right here, okay, and his bulb is right here. Now ideally I would want the heel to actually be growing from here. You see that? And when all is said and done, this whole sole here is going to come back here. Including this dorsal wall, which will be like so. And that would be his true foot right there. And that's kind of where I'm headed. So you see how these soles get shoved forward, and then your real sole in the real heel gets covered up. And so this is what we're doing. We're moving the sole and the frog and all the frog corium and all that back under the foot, because when all this gets forced down and forward, guess what? It pushes on the sole corium too, because the covering on that foot is like a big, thick Dr. Scholl's gel pad sock. And so all this pressure of all the anatomy being forced forward is also moving all the sole corium under it as well. So when we are restoring these feet, I mean, we are really bringing all this anatomy back into place so that we can grow that hoof capsule from a correct location. And so now, I mean, you just see, I'm not a very good drawer there, but you can really see how the back of this foot was supposed to be supported here. See, I mean, this is quite extensive back here. Just a minute. Compared to that, see, compared to this here, let me get, I'll show you some of the pictures of what happened as the heel that was covered up for a long time started opening up. Because when it opens up, there's not very much sole there. See, sometimes you open it, sometimes when those heels open up, because this is moving, okay, and so this part all has to move back here too, because your true sole in the seat of the corn is about here. But right now in this foot, it's about here. And so it's not growing from the true area of the sole corium of the sole. So now here's something else you need to notice. So here's all this anatomy. This is the true anatomy here, not this thing like that. So this is the way it's really supposed to be. So then it gets curled up and forced into, this gets curled up and forced into the foot here. And it gets forced into this joint, the coffin joint right there. And it pushes it forward, which aims the toe down. I talked about this before. Okay, so it pushes that joint forward. And so then it's going to push this down like that, but it's going to take the hoof capsule and push it forward like that. And this is what you see when you see this here. The joint pushed forward. You see this bump? Can everybody see that bump?
Yep.
Okay. Do you see a bump there? Over here?
Not much of one.
Not much. More like normal, right? There's a little more here, right? So you got a big bump here, a little less here, and even less here. Is not that right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I need at least one person to answer. Okay, so when all this anatomy was let loose, it quit pushing that coffin joint forward. And it let up, so it relaxed back like that, even more here. But what I want you to see is, look at the wall, how the wall is dished right here. Less here. Look how straightened up the dorsal wall became when all that anatomy that was pushing up on that joint and pushing it forward relaxed back. It took what might be considered almost a flare. In fact, a farrier would consider that a flare, because let me show you what they do. They take a rasp and they hold it up to the wall. Well, now I can't remember now. They take a rasp and they hold it up to the wall like this, and they would take off that whole toe. You see that? Thinking it's a flare. It's not a flare. It's the wall being curved and forced forward because of what's happening internally into that foot, with all that anatomy being shoved up into that joint, pushing it forward. And so see, now we do this. Look at that. So, of course, and then they take off that toe, that make it worse. See, because then you just weaken everything. That's how your mechanical laminitis and everything else starts. So anyway, this sole that is growing right from here, okay, eventually, after all these walls move back to support the true foot back here, okay, then you're going to have a foot that's more like this, see? More like that. Very short, not short, but very steep dorsal walls with a lot of with a lot more support behind the foot back here. See, that really changes it quite substantially. Just a minute. Okay. Well, anyway, need a drink of water. So are you kind of seeing what is anybody understanding some of what I'm talking about here? Since I'm
Yeah, I do it. You started to say something a while ago. Said,
huh?
You started to say something a little while ago. You said sometimes when the heels open up.
Sometimes when the heels open up, what?
You had started to say sometimes when heels open up.
Oh, when heels open up, there's no sole in the heel because it hasn't been growing there for a long time. You know, the sole that you have growing here, okay, that's not the real sole in the real internal heel. That's been covered up for a long time. And even though I was able to extend the foot like this, the capsule would have had to totally see. Well, I did this experiment and I had a boot, and of course it was in the middle of winter, and I had a boot, and I kept like I had a sock on his foot with a bag that I filled with water and got real wet, and then another sock, and then I was in a boot, and so I only had one boot, and so this was just an experiment I did on one foot. And because I just knew something was going on, that foot was bound up somehow. That cartilage wasn't supposed to look like that. Something was wrong. And so then I didn't get to continue with this. If I would have had boots, I would have kept him in boots. I'd have started doing it to the other foot, and I'd have kept at it until I got the whole back of the foot to straighten out and grow in and confirm itself right there. But I didn't have that. So, of course, as soon as the foot dries out, it goes back to a similar shape, but not all the way because I had really removed a lot of stuff that shouldn't have been there to begin with. So I was just going to show you some of the pictures of see okay, so let me find it here just a second here. Of what happens in your heels. Your heels will kind of get hollowed out. The sole in the heel will start to look a little hollowish instead of full, because as the back of this heel is growing in and opening up more, it's starting to uncover those areas that have been covered over and not growing for a long time. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. So let me find some pictures. There's some, well, let's see. Do, 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 do. There's kind of some pictures I don't want to show because you really wouldn't understand. But when the heels finally really open up, you can have pretty thin sole back there. And it's not because you're trimming sole out, it's because that bar and everything that's been shoved up there, covering it all over, you've been trimming the boundaries back, and eventually it just opens up, and there's that sole that hasn't been growing for however many years, and it's very thin. But I will show you some different pictures here of what I did, if I can find some here. Okay, well, we'll look here. Okay, let's see. Just a second here. And you can go through stages of that as well, to where you'll open up an area and you'll get new sole in there, and then you're going to find that, hey, there's more to be done. Your foot has not unwrapped itself yet. See, now I need to show you the picture of a foot here before we go on so you can understand this a little better. Let's see. Okay, hold on. I'm going to find it. Just a second here. I'll let you look at this for now. Do, do, do. Let's see. Spool. Okay. New share. A second. New share. Okay. Okay, see this foot here?
Yep.
Okay, so you see how these bulbs are turned in? Like that? Like let me show you a good foot too, so that you know the difference. Just a second here. Go back up here. See, it's all about, you know, if you find a good foot and then you compare a deformed foot to it, because here's what happened. These people do these dissections and they don't know the true foot. And this was Bracy Clark's problem. They don't know the true foot and they don't know that's a deformed, distorted foot. See, like this one you're looking at, they think that crack in the center is thrush.
New share.
Oh, okay, just a minute. Okay, so they think that crack in the center is thrush. Can you see that crack?
Yep.
Okay, it's not thrush. It's where the foot has been totally contracted and the bulbs are pushed together. And so no frog could grow, you know? Here. Okay, new share. Okay, here's a healthy foot. Let me see if I can, and it doesn't want to, come here. See if I can find, okay, you see how there's a space between here? That's that crack that you see on that other foot. And you see this, how this sticks out behind the foot here? This is wrapped clear. These heels on that other foot are twisted and wrapped and scrolled in. Oops, wait a minute. Just a second. Trying to find a, boy, I mean, this, okay. Trying to find one that has a similar view. Okay, so you see this here. This is where your heel buttress grows from, right here. Right here. This here gets wrapped around these. Okay, here's where your bar is, by the way, grows from right there. Here's where your heel buttress is. Okay, this right here is the sole in the seat of the corn. See this triangular area here. And so what I was showing you on my foot was that even though it looked like a good foot, the bars were clear up here, and the sole that looked like it was the sole in the seat of the corn was clear up in here. So all of this gets covered over and is not growing anymore. It does not just get covered over. It gets literally twisted in, turned in, curled in this way. This here is no longer here. You haven't got a little ledge at the back of the coronary band that's growing a heel buttress. This gets wrapped around and twisted this way. This whole heel gets twisted in. Now, it doesn't always totally contract to where this is your central sulcus and it gets totally smashed together, so there's no frog growing in there. Sometimes what'll happen is they can get twisted in, but the foot can get pushed wider apart, or it can get twisted in, but do it in an even manner to where it still looks like just a normal foot. But all the back of this foot gets literally rolled in to where it's not growing the way it should anymore. And then the hoof capsule grows and it binds it and puts it in that prison. And so what we do is we change boundaries to help things open up, to allow the foot to start moving and growing that foot from a different location. We're trimming off the old as we're growing in the new. And we're growing the foot, the capsule back onto the foot. and we're releasing the foot from the old capsule at the same time. So it's a back and forth process that we are doing. And so this foot here, these here, that's the same kind of foot. If we were to soak this foot, it'd be the same color as that one we're just looking at. Okay, so you see this is where the heel buttress should be growing, but it's wrapped around. These heels are just squeezed and wrapped around. This is a contracted foot. Okay, and those bulbs, this is where your central sulcus is and your frog stay are supposed to be growing. But the whole foot is so contracted and squeezed together that it can't grow any frog in here. Okay, so just a minute here. This is the foot from the side. Now, here, you see how this is wrapped, pulled down and wrapped around? You know, in my foot, if that hadn't happened yet, I suppose I ain't going to be able to find my foot. Let's see, show all windows. Oh, okay, right here. Okay, here's my foot. Here is the place right here where the heel buttress grows from, right here. But this on that other foot, it's not even there anymore. This whole area of the foot has been wrapped around and is flattened, and it's not growing heel buttress any longer. And so look how much of the foot that this would cut off. The length of the foot, the back of the use of the foot, okay? That is no longer there at all on this other foot. And so, and again, when this happens, a lot of times it'll push, and depending on how it's trimmed too, some feet will get just really compact like this. That would be a false foot with false heels because the heel buttress has been totally trimmed out. Okay. Other ones, if this part grows forward like so, it can push toe way forward like so. You know, it just depends on who's trimming, how they trimmed them, what got trimmed, to how it all grew into a false version of itself. Okay. Let's see. Undo here. Okay, so I want to go back to that foot again. Okay, so here's this foot. So we don't know. Some of the feet we're doing, like I know definitely this happened to my pony. Okay. But okay, so here's the coronary band. Okay, that piece, that heel buttress is totally wrapped around the back of the foot like that. It's not sticking out at all. This should have been coming back like this. You know, plus, yeah, okay, the heels themselves are wrapped around and curled in. So if this foot would have been expanded, okay, those heels would have unwrapped, and then they would have been right about here. And so you would have had sole growing from here. That would have been the real sole. But instead, because the coronary band, everything else is wrapped around and the heels are wrapped around, you got a false heel. And the sole you're seeing in that heel triangle is from this part of the foot. See, that's not the true end of the foot. If we are to, let's undo this, go look at the other view again. Just a minute here. Oh, there it is. Okay, see how it's wrapped around here? Wrapped around. See how this heel here is wrapped around here? So if this were to unwrap, it would come way back here. Anyway, yeah, so that here is not thrush, it's the space between the bulbs. Okay, well, anyway, this is just some of the stuff I'm trying to figure out to understand what's going on. Now, also, when you look at this foot here, look at how hollow it is here. It just the shape of it in and of itself is going to give you a hollowish instead of a more full sole growth in here. It's going to make it more hollow. Okay.
Linda,
Yeah.
I need to tell the others my experience when I was trying to find the real soul on the seed of the corn.
Okay.
That usually the soul is so thin that I dropped a drop of blood there when I was cleaning.
Yeah.
After a week or so, I had real soul at the point.
Yeah.
But one has to be very careful because there is no soul on the seed of the corn when you begin to clean it up. It's not a reason for panic, because after a couple of days it was the blood disappeared, a new soul began to grow there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. See, it was the same thing for me.
Yes, so everybody who's dreaming should know that there is a high possibility of somebody drawing blood in that exact post.
Yeah, and it's not because you trimmed it out. It's because as you're trimming those bars over that have grown over the whole thing, and the foot is expanding and the heels are moving, and it's starting to open up that part of the foot. Well, the sole is real thin, almost sometimes non-existent on a place that should have been growing sole all along.
Exactly.
I'll see if I can find it.
And I have a small request, if it is possible.
Okay.
Would you have any photos of soul, of examples of soul? For example, a retained soul, healthy soul, overgrow soul. If you have some photos of this kind.
I know I have some, but like they'd be all scattered out. And you know, I'd have to find like examples on the internet. Like here, let's go look at this one guy because this is a video everybody should watch. Just a second here. Where am I at? Gotta find internet. Hold on. Let's see. Close out some of these pictures. Because on my own horse, I have examples of, I've got examples, all that stuff over the years, but I never like set it apart in special files, you know, to know exactly where to go. I know that all this stuff needs to be better defined. There's just not enough time in the day. The second here. Let me close out some of this stuff. Okay, I don't want to close that out. Hold on. Okay. There's a guy. He's got a let me new share. He's got a site called farrierart.com. This guy here has a great video. I hope he still has it. Let me see. Videos. Oh, this video here. Trimming for deep sulcus thrush. Okay, he shows you in this is a video on YouTube. Okay. He shows you how to make an air conditioner out of a cooler. No. No. He shows you let's see here. He's trimming for deep sulcus thrush, but he winds up taking a whole bunch of retained sole out here. And so this is be something, remember, it's farrierart.com. Okay, and he's showing some difference in hoof nippers. These are called half rounds compared to regular nippers, and half rounds are made for taking out retained sole, but should only be used in the hands of a professional. And so he will show you, you'll see him take out a big lump of retained sole. Let's see, where does he do it here? Hope I don't get a copyright infringement. After all, I am directing you to his channel. Where is it? Anyway, you'll see him here. Okay, here he's got, now that's still ain't it. Okay, so this is all retained sole here that he's showing, and it will look like live sole, and he'll explain it, and you'll see him take this whole thing out with these nippers. It's real interesting. So that would be a video to watch right there. We're not going to watch it, but you can watch it on your own. Again, it's what's the name of his channel? Thrush Chris Minnick. Chris Minnick. That's the name of the farrier. Okay. Oh look, I even have a comment that I put a year ago. Anyway, he's a good farrier. There are some good farriers out there, and he has an interesting channel and interesting website right here, Farrier Art. So yeah, what's the photo gallery here? Yeah, had some good dissection too.
Dangerous.
But anyway,
Because everybody will want to mimic him and will have more crippled horses.
well,
This
I
is what
can't help
I
that.
say.
I can't help
Yes,
that.
I
If
know.
people want to be that damn dumb, they can go right ahead, be my freaking guest. All right,
Yes.
because I can't protect everybody from all the BS they want to do. So whatever. You know, it ain't gonna mimic him. This is just showing, whatever. I don't know. See, you can only help people so much. You know what I mean?
They don't have a clue how long, how thick the sole should
I
be,
know. So yeah,
or
so we put
how
a
thick
warning
it
on
is.
this. Yeah, don't go doing this. Do I need to cut this out of the video just so you won't be stupid? Okay? There's a lot of pressure doing this crap, just so people know. You don't want people to hurt their horses. But you still got to share stuff with them. You know what I mean?
Yes, of course, you're right, but
So, if you're that damn dumb that you want to take and buy yourself a pair of half rounds and go cut the sole out of your horse's foot, be my guest. Okay, that's the person that would do that. All right. Okay, so we're going to get on a different subject. See, you can only explain this stuff so much. How am I supposed to protect everybody from everything? I can't do it.
you're right.
So anyway, that all that is an example of him showing what retained sole is. The best way for you to get rid of retained sole, see, no matter what I say, it's not going to be right. Somebody's going to take it wrong and misuse it and do the wrong thing. Because I have had to experience that now, going on forever. So I can't protect people from making mistakes. I can't cover every single detail, because I
Personally,
don't
I
know
don't
their
have
horse's
any
foot,
soul.
and I don't know their level of experience, and I don't know, I just don't know all these things for every single person, you know. Um,
Of course, you're right. I mean, but the problem is that everybody wants to mimic everyone
well,
without having the knowledge,
yeah,
the knowledge that lacks.
yeah. What can we do about that?
Ah,
Huh?
we are doing more than enough.
Yeah, yeah. We
More
can't
than.
save everybody, and stuff. So you've been warned, you know. I share this stuff with you, but if you ain't got no common sense whatsoever, you know, and you just want to look, angels rush in. No, wait, where demons fear to tread. No, okay, fools rush in. This is a warning from Angelique. Fools rush in where she would tell you you shouldn't even be treading. See, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Okay. So on some of this stuff, even though I share it with you, don't think you're just going to go zipping in there and jerking that out of the soul of your horse when you don't even know if that's what he's got or not. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you've been warned. You've been warned by the tact angel herself, Angelique, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And did you know that that's what her name means? That's where we get the word angel. Yeah, from the
Yeah.
Greeks. So fools rush in where angel spirited tread. So, if I'm sounding grumpy or mean, I don't mean to do that, but you know, say I just can't. I cannot save everybody from making mistakes. You know, and I got to tell you the truth. That's my greatest fear too. That I'm going to tell somebody do something, and it's going to hurt them, hurt their horse. I don't want to do that. Sure enough of that going on. You know. Anyway.
Linda, don't worry too much. You can't stupid proof everything. There's always going to be someone who takes what you say or what you showed to the nth degree and completely make a mess of it. And that'll be their journey and their lesson they'll have to learn. It's just very unfortunate that people, as we always say, the horse pays the school fees for these sorts of things.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, I try to do the best I can.
That's all
So,
any of us can do.
yeah.
I think, Linda, you can rest in the knowledge that you help far more people and horses than you do harm them.
Okay.
Yeah, for
I
sure,
hope
without
so.
a doubt.
Well, I hope so. Because there's sure a lot of harm going on, you know. And, you're all like me. Once you understand this stuff and then you start looking around and you see it, it's kind of painful, you know. It's painful to see people being taught to harm their horses, you know. It it is. And being so convinced that what they're doing is so right. And it was the same for me, I was so convinced.
We appreciate you, Linda, and the fact that you are finding this path forward and you're letting us come behind you. And so we're all going to make mistakes. And the thing is that we need to learn from them. people who are reckless and don't do as you say and learn the anatomy and understand what's going on with the foot, that's the first thing we have to do. And we might miss it. We might miss something. We might misunderstand it, but that's the nature of learning.
Yeah.
And you're being a wonderful teacher and letting us know and understand how to help our horses.
Well, thanks for those encouraging words. I appreciate that. Okay. So, all right. So, I hope I'm explaining a little bit more about what goes on in the heels, in the sole, in the false foot, getting a whole false foot, and that looking at the bottom of the foot is never the best way to look at a foot. Okay. And see, that is another thing this group is promoting that, oh, that was it. Yeah. So this gal, and bless her heart, she's very excited because they have everybody very zealous that they have finally found the answers. Okay. So this gal, she shares this post and about trimming the heels out of horses and stuff like that, and how horses have no heels, and so I asked her to look at some horses' feet, and it was all wild horses, but you couldn't tell because just the feet, and they all had ample heel. So I said, well, what about these feet? I said, how would you suggest I trim them to get what you're talking about here? No heel. And then she goes, she shows an example. Let me see. I'm going to put that post back up just a second before I go on with my story. She shows an example. Just a second. Well, here, I'll just put it up. New share. Okay. So in the post that she did saying that horses don't have heels and that you should always trim to the hard sole plane. And she gave this example over here of this foot. Okay. When I posted a bunch of feet that look like this but on live horses and asked her how you would trim those, and they were wild horses, she says, well, you can never look at a top view. You can only look at the sole view to really tell what is going on with the horse's foot. And so I come back, I said, you just posted 3 top views that are supposed to tell me what a horse's foot should be like. This one here, and this one where you see the bulbs. Those are top views. That isn't a sole view. And this is something I learned. The sole view is the most deceitful view of all of them. And see, that brings us around full circle to when I showed you the picture of my horse's foot. If I still have one up here, here you go. New share right here. So they're saying that only this view can tell you the truth. This is the most line view that you got on the horse right here. And this is the biggest problem because you know what? This is the only view that most farriers ever see is this one right here, the sole of the foot. And you can have, like I had here, I had a whole false foot here. See, it wasn't the true foot at all. So this is the most deceptive view. Let's see. I can go back here. Anyway, let me get up here. Okay, so you can have all different kinds of things going on the this is the part of the view that is going to give you the biggest dose of reality to what is really going on with your horse's foot is the cartilage up here and the bulbs and what's going on with the dorsal wall, because the sole can look the same no matter what you're doing practically. See how different a foot can look from the side? Like you're trying to figure out, well, where is the real foot? You know, what is it doing? Now, here's that foot, and this is what it looked like in 21. Look at the difference. But you know what? The sole, you can tell from the sole that there was that much difference. See, how is the sole telling me there's that much difference? It's not. So anyway, if you got somebody coming along saying, oh yeah, you got to just read the sole, don't go for that, because this whole sole, instead of being where it should be, can be an inch ahead of where it's supposed to be. Okay. All right. Well, anyway. Okay, so I'm done with all that lecturing and stuff, and teaching on the heels and the sole and everything like that. So who wants to talk about a horse you have or something? Hi,
What's up?
Maria. Can you hear me? I'm looking to see who's here.
Hi, can
Yeah.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Hey,
Are-
so good to be here with you. Thank you so much for everything you've done for the horse community and the humans around them. Um, you are a true blessing.
Thank you, dear.
You're welcome. There was a couple of posts on the website. One was just recently. This gal, she posted her pictures, the before and after pictures of her horse, and I thought, wow, if you could do a quick run through on, what you see in the before and after pictures, that would be awesome. Because they're really nice pictures. And what was up with that other post of that lady talking about the retained soul? I didn't get it. So
I don't even remember that
you know
one.
which one I'm talking about?
No.
Yeah, she was going on about feet getting too wet or something. I just didn't, I wasn't following it. So maybe I just don't need to know, and that's okay.
Do you remember who it was? Probably not.
I don't know how to flip back and forth between Zoom and Facebook on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I'm not that.
Okay,
I'm not that good. But no, if you whatever you like to do, I just thought I'd throw that out there. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Let me look over here and see. That was on the research and trimming group or the equine health group, foot health group.
Research and trimming.
Okay, I'm looking at it now. Sometimes I don't like to look at feet on there unless I ask the person. Because this is recorded on YouTube. You know.
Okay.
And so
I understand. All right.
But let me see.
Then
have you got something else though? What about your horse?
Well, no, I'll just have to send in my own pictures then, I guess.
Okay. You got some?
Not up to date.
Okay.
Linda, there was a post where you commented, and the girl who had the horse said, I wish we could talk about my horse on the next Zoom.
Okay.
It was very recent, and you promised that we would talk about that.
Okay, well, better do that then. Do you remember who it was?
Well, I cannot search now, but it was very recent. I mean, a couple, maximum a couple of days.
Okay.
And it was your post that you proposed that we could talk about it.
I see one from this morning that was on last Tuesday's book chat on the 2nd.
That's
She's
me.
got some questions on that one.
It's Roberta.
Yes, that's yours.
Oh,
Yes.
Roberta? Is she
Yes,
here? Oh,
ma'am.
there you are.
Yes, ma'am.
You were hiding over there. I didn't see you. Well, this name thing I got with everybody's name. It only shows so many and then,
I got you.
okay, so you're on here somewhere. I'll find you.
I did
Now,
post pics to Messenger and to the Facebook page.
oh, okay. I'm going to go to
And I did
Messenger
like
then.
a pre and post trim, but I left one of the shots out, so it's singled by itself.
Okay.
My
Oops.
apologies to all.
Okay. Let's see.
You see, everybody, there are so many horses we can discuss about.
Yeah. It's not like we got a lack. Huh?
Yes, no.
Okay. Let's see here. I don't know why I'm having problems finding stuff here. Just a second. Okay. Messenger.
And my question was about taking, I was afraid to take the toe because I thought that she had somewhat of a laminar wedge.
Okay.
So I wasn't too sure. So I kind of just did what you said. I just beveled around the whole capsule and to
Okay.
nip that corner on the medial side.
Okay. Let's see here.
And filed to sole plane.
Okay, I'm gonna see if this will when I do that, if it will. Yeah, okay, that's working out good. Alrighty. Okay, well, let's just go through them first. See, you know how I was talking about how the whole sole winds up growing out from underneath the foot. You know, see that's what you see here. You see that sole just like it's way up, way forward, you know, you just want to reach and pull it back onto the foot. And so as it does that, like, see if we could just take and take it out of the capsule, you know, and kind of straighten it up and then fit the foot back in the capsule. Like all this here would be way back here, you know? So it's like pulled forward and under the foot. So you're like having to get the foot to grow it back on. As you're trimming this off, you're growing the real one on.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so uh gonna have to trim up these bars more, but we'll go through all these first and see, and I actually like the way this is looking, and I'm not bothered by this at all for now. Eventually you're gonna take some of this off right here. But since so much of this is pulled under, we and big okay, this is what I'm finding out, and from a couple different people and a couple different angles, and even myself, and that is when this foot is real bound in back, okay, and pushing everything forward like that. If you just start taking a toe back to take a toe back, because that's the way you think it's supposed to look, then this is what happens. And I found this out on my pony a number of years ago as well. Okay, so that foot is in here like this. It's being held forward by the toe. Okay, now I was talking a while ago how when all this anatomy here gets pulled in and shoved up into here, look at that bump. You see that bump?
Yeah.
It is pushing the coffin joint forward. Now, the coffin joint is the joint between the coffin bone and the short pastern bone. And so it's pushing that joint forward. And so when it pushes that joint forward, it will push the toe down like this. Okay, well, if you got a little extra toe on there, even though ideally it's not supposed to be there, if you got a little extra toe on there, it can't it can't. This toe can't go like that. It is forced to stay forward. See?
Well, that's a plus for her then.
Yeah, it is. And so what we want to do is we want to work on restoring and releasing the back of the foot. You know, I mean, you keep an eye on this. And at some point maybe take off a little bit of leverage, but right now looking from the bottom, we'll look at the bottom like if the foot looked like it wanted to go, you know, through the bottom of the there or something like that, you might shorten up on it a bit, but right now it's holding that toe forward instead of letting it rotate down like that. Okay, because if it rotates down like that, then all of this here is gonna want to go more like that. So let me undo that.
Is that when you say if you take the toe, say in this situation, then it would knuckle over?
Yeah. Yeah, well, not only that, but let's say what happens is people start trimming the toe back, trimming the toe back, trimming the toe back. And what it does is it will literally push the toe back like this. See, it will literally start pushing the toe back like that. You need to have a little bit of leverage on that toe wall there to hold this bone forward like that, especially when you have all this anatomy pushing up in that way. And so if you just start, I mean, that wall it'll start coming back, and see, it'll push that bone back. And this, and yeah, see how they would start to get, so they're on their tiptoe and knuckling over, because the way this foot is bound here, if this bone, see, here's the thing, if this gets pushed back, the foot is already bent. It's already bent in the center, usually, because all this is pulled around like this. Okay, it pulls down like this and it bends the foot up like that. Okay, so it's bending from this end and it's pushing this stuff forward, and there's a bend in the foot. Instead of sitting flat in there like that, it's got this bend in it, right? And so then if you just start really whittling the toe back, what happens is, okay, what happens if I push here? Remember, this is part of the foot, this part here. So what happens if I pushed on that?
It's going to go towards the sole.
Yeah, it's going to push into the sole, but then what's going to happen to the sole here? This sole and the foot has already been pushed up like that by the back. So then if in the front, I'm pushing on the sole this way, then what's going to happen is it's going to bend this way even more. See? And so if this part keeps pushing that way and this part keeps pushing that way, well, not only are you knuckle over, but you can also wind up growing a can foot that looks just like that. I've seen that. Or if the dorsal wall doesn't hold, you wind up like this with a big, huge laminar wedge in here, like so. So it is not good to keep taking toes back, because it will back up this here. And now at some point you might want to back that up, but you want it to have room to back up without bending the sole up like this.
Okay.
You know, like if all this was released, like so, then there would be some room for that to come back. I got a mess here. It's all structural mechanics of how these two different parts react, and so yeah, so we want to release the back of this foot and to get this out of there and release the coffin joint. let's see. Where am I at? Clear all drawings. Okay, let's keep going here. Now, see, what I like is, there's another part I like about this, just a second here. And I like that she's got a high hairline here. Okay. Now, she's going to need to grow some more heel in, and this is going to have to come back like this, and release from in here. But the fact that she's got this hairline is a plus for her, because her bulbs are up here, and she's not going to be as tempted to curl that heel around. I mean, it's already curled around and in there, but that she's got some elevation to the foot is a real good thing. Because see, look at the angle of these torn tubules. See, we were looking at some other people, and their horn, like this horn tubule here, okay, on some other people, was growing clear up into here, like that. See, longer than the toe was. Let's see here.
I think my pre-trim is like that.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it?
Yes.
See, I can't remember, but this is
Yeah.
looking good. Well, okay, you took some of this off right here, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because
I
we
did.
did that. You were one of those. So sorry if I don't
Yep.
remember every
That's
detail.
okay. Oh, I get it. I'm right there
But
with
see,
you.
this looks good here. This looks like it has some room and stuff like that. So this is a good deal.
And the medial side is where the whole quarter, I guess you say, blew out.
Turn that sound off. What did you say? I'm sorry.
I said on her medial side,
Uh-huh.
her
I
the
see. Okay.
quarter, yeah. See
Okay.
that?
Okay. See,
But
this
when
is.
you told me to trim right where your arrow is, I
Mhm.
mean, it did a lot for her.
Yeah. See?
Really moved that capsule a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, see, next you might be able to take and do a little notch in here. A little notch in there. And
Okay.
then, because see, the way I've seen them trim is they'll notch out here, then they'll notch out here, and sometimes that toe get way long, but then they just bust the whole thing off. So we don't want to do that, of course, but it's just interesting how they wind up self-trimming themselves, and stuff. So eventually here, when some of this kind of gets straightened up and stuff, yeah, we'll take some of this off, and eventually you will help your toe come back, but not to the point to where it's going to push this foot back, you know. So right now it's just holding everything forward, which is good. This here, not so good, but at least it has not rotated up into the coronary band here. So you're still
That
doing
was
okay.
my next question. The rotation at the coronary band.
Yeah, I see to where it's separating, and there's pressure up to here, but not up in here. The coronary band is still intact, and it hasn't rotated the coronary band in the coronary band groove.
Okay.
It has stopped right in here.
Linda, can I just ask you a question on that previous photograph, please?
Yeah. Just a minute.
Yeah, thanks. So like I don't know what that is. You can see the periopal, I think it's periopal. And then the hoop wall is at the back of the foot in the heel area.
That
What is going on there?
that to me looks like some periopal.
It is.
Yeah. Periopal and heel wall, both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now it's
It looks like a
interesting.
mixture of both materials. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And so it's probably trying to teach us something, I would say. Let me see. I'm going to open this and enlarge it so we can look at it. Let's see. Open with.
Yeah, I mean, if that was my horse and that was a mixture of hoof wool, I'd be very, very excited because it looks like the entire foot is moving back on the medial side, like everything
Yeah.
is growing a new foot.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was the old, and this is the new growing on right here. That's pretty interesting. So I have this theory I've been knocking around in my head about how you could use toe length to make the back of the foot extend and pull up. How you might be able to use leverage by growing toe to force the back of the foot up so that it would grow hoof capsule from a higher position, like just the way they stand at a breakover, stuff like that. Well, okay, you know how if you got a pair of, have you ever worn a pair of flippers or something like that, a shoe that's too big, how when you go to take a step because it's too far out there, your heel comes out of your shoe and back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so long toe and all this is a shoe. Okay, and it's supposed to be form fitted to the foot, and we know that the wall ultimately grows down like this. Okay, so all these horn tubules are clear over here. Ultimately, they're supposed to be like here. Okay, and so when the horse breaks over, there's no leverage of where it's going to pull on the back of the foot. You know, the capsule, like pulling the capsule forward and the back of the foot out of the capsule. So if I was just wondering if you could use a long toe to a degree to put leverage on the heel area to lift, force a lift to where there's a lift here to where instead of the wall just growing down and out, there's going to be some pressure of this pulling up so that as the wall is growing, it's going to be adding capsule here. And kind of you see that here in a way.
I was about to say it's almost like nature intended that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let me undo this here. Because when you see this part here, okay, that part there is now that part here. You see that?
Yes.
So and this is going on with my horse as well, where he injured himself. And only in that case, it just released everything so that it could grow stuff from a higher position. But I mean, there's a similar kind of mechanical thing going on here. So, you know, I just know the day is going to come. We're going to understand this hoof growth and distortion so well that we'll be able to actually use certain types of distortion to put leverages on other parts of the foot to accelerate their growth. Yeah, this is pretty cool.
Just out of interest, does Roberta, I don't know if it's in the sequence of photographs, but have a photo of the sort of the bulbs going in at the back?
Yeah,
and
we'll
then
look at
let's
look at that.
because that would be quite interesting.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Well, we'll go back.
Linda,
Yeah.
I've sent you a photo
Okay.
of last of Bedenitra's hoof.
Okay.
It's exactly the same thing.
Okay. Now,
Just have a look.
this is a slight form of rotation. Okay.
Yes,
But all
maybe,
rotation is the
as
foot
Eva
coming out of the
said,
capsule. You know what I mean? The
yes,
foot kind of coming out up of the back of the capsule. You know,
but
until you get total separation in the hoof wall. But we need to look at the x-rays again.
but I had the opposite. I had the connection of the wall.
Okay. Well, look here. Second here. Let's see here. New share. Okay. Go back to here. And then I'm going to also see what you sent.
And I never touched the toe. And that dishing thing, you see?
Yeah. Well, that would be that is an event line that does happen when there's a movement in the foot. When the back of the foot
Yeah.
goes this way and moves. I've seen it in my horse as well. And I mean, both of these horses have a form of laminitis to begin with, you know,
Correct.
Of
Yes.
course.
and stuff.
But
So that is part of that, you know, but
this
what we're looking at is the heel, like the heel wall that grew in when all this took place. And I remember you sending me a picture too and saying, look, Benita's bulbs are off the ground.
Yes,
Yeah.
there are. She never had these bulbs so high. Ah, look.
So the bulbs did pull up, because this is something that happens too, is the bulbs will release and pull up behind the capsule. See?
I mean, I see the same dishing
Yeah.
on the toe,
Yeah.
which I never touch. You see,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like Rebecca's photo
Yeah, it does.
in some other way, but it is very similar.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
Of course, I'm not waiting a lot from Benenitra, but still,
well, those are those rings are from
Rebecca has
from
the
the
same ring.
pull on the toe, from the pull on the back of the foot, combined with the pull of the toe. And so there's been movement in there.
Yes.
And so it's
Let's
what they
hope
call an
that it
event
is.
line, you know. So the event is usually something, there was movement or something happened in there. And it created that. And sometimes your foot gets bigger at the same time too, which is, I've seen that happen.
I mean, this photo with Rebecca's photo, to me, look quite similar.
Yeah. Yeah, there is some similarity. Okay.
And we didn't do it. It came like this.
Uh-huh. Well,
No, maybe the
it's mechanical. It's
medial
from the back, like
photo.
your bulb's raised up, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when your bulb's raised up, it moved the foot, the capsule went forward, and the foot went backward, and then you get this deal here.
Yes.
This bulge in the hoof wall.
Yes.
Okay, where it kind of buckles.
In the middle photo of this hoof looks quite similar, more similar.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah. See that's from the toe being pulled forward, the foot being pulled backwards. Ultimately. That is a line from a formal rotation. But all rotation isn't coffin bone rotation. You know, it can be the whole foot, the back of the foot raising up. And then there's leverage on the front wall. And so you get these bulges sometimes or lines. So there's a lot of foot here that's pulled under. Like you have a lot of frog. Just a minute.
Linda, if Ageliki, yeah, because when Ageliki is not muted, it makes a very, like, you have echo.
Yeah, I just muted you.
Um,
I was looking. I could hear myself. I was irritating me. I do that a lot. No. Okay, so Roberta. All right. So the next thing is here. We're gonna have to clean up some frog and bar to release more of this part of the foot here. And let's see. Yeah. Okay, so
Can you possibly go to the one that's the picture that's trimmed, the sole
okay.
picture, please?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, those are the old ones.
Okay. Is this it?
Yeah, but there's one where you can see the whole foot. So, I mean, it's in there.
Okay.
That's
This one
it.
here?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so
Mm.
what you need to do is map the foot. Have you learned to map yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mapped that foot, but I used a sander,
Okay.
and I just never put the lines back on. But
Okay.
yes, I will map.
So this bar here needs to be trimmed down, and this leveled down a little bit more on this side.
Okay.
And then let me look at the toe. See, because you did a pretty good job there. Okay. But need to trim up this frog more. And you got a grinder, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you need to learn how to clean out the central sulcus right here and do the frog with that grinder.
Okay.
Let me show you what my horse looks like. But you definitely need to get that map the foot and get that bar down. And I need to look at the heels here in a minute. Did you measure the heels?
I did. I
And what?
left that one. I brought it down to 2 inches.
Okay.
The medial side that blew out is 1.5 inches.
Okay. Okay. Um, let's see, pictures. I'm gonna put my pictures in. Hold on. Yeah, because see, your frog, you can be bound in the heels, but you can be even more bound in the frog. Because, you know, I showed those pictures of that foot where the back of the foot's being pulled down and the whole frog corium's being forced forward.
Mhm.
And so then the frog grows there. And so if you don't start releasing that frog, the back of that foot will never come up. Let's see
Okay.
here. Where am I at and what am I doing? Okay. Got lost there for a minute. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Okay, here we go. It's on my injured foot, by the way. Okay. Okay, so this is how I trim up a frog with a grinder. Now, what's interesting is like if you look at this frog, you see it kind of pooching out like that. Okay,
Mhm.
when the frogs were when I never trimmed the frogs that much and they got all compacted in, that part of the foot was just really flat. And then after I started trimming frogs, it was like that part of the foot kind of blossomed and was able to release. And it helps it helps all of this unbind and be able to move back. Flies like it. Looks kind of like that, but see how my bars are
Yes,
there?
I do. Yeah.
Now, this is a situation where this side is more hollowed out because the foot was rounder, like so, asymmetrical. And so this is starting to come in now. Now, my heels, what you don't know, see, you develop this whole false heel, false bar thing that looks like it's the real bar. But then when you start trimming those bars back, because they're all distorted, when you start trimming them back, it starts to reveal the real heel. And what you find with the real heel is that these heels are curled in, just like that cadaver foot I showed you, where
Mhm.
the whole side, the heel, everything is curled in like that. And so that's what's going on with this horse, is that the heels were really curled in. Now, I'm gonna see if I can find a picture to show you. Oh, wait. There's where his foot's at right now. So we'll see how that turns out. Let's see, when was this? I hope this is when I set a date on. Okay, so this was 6/1. So that was what, a month ago?
That looks
Yeah.
good.
Okay, so this is way healed up more now. But I wanted to show you the heels, how curled in they are. See there?
Yeah.
Now see, when you're looking at a foot and it looks like this, let's see if I can find, just a minute. New share. Those heels don't look real curled in, do they? I mean,
No.
look, okay? But the reality is, okay, that you have a foot that in reality is like that. That is the true heel. More the true heel that is on that horse that I just showed you, which is my horse, is all the same horse. It's just that, oh, wow, sole's grown in right here and the bars grow and this frog here is way up here and the whole foot is just a fake. It's not the real foot. And so what happens, these bulbs are so pulled in and those heels are so turned in and everything you have there is fake. It's not the real foot. And so like what I'm doing with him is I want this frog corium to come fully back where it's supposed to be. But as it's doing so, what we find out is that these heels were really curled in, just like only the difference was his heels weren't contracted like the other horse was. And like, I hope I can find that again. Let's see. Okay, like this. Okay. His heels weren't contracted, but his heels were still turned in. His bulbs and heels were pushed apart, but even more turned in than this. But then the whole hoof, see, the whole time this distortion is happening, you're trimming the foot like it's just the same old foot. And so as the distortion is happening to the inner foot and the hoof capsule in the sole and everything is growing, you're actually trimming the capsule to look like a normal foot when the foot inside is distorting and deforming the whole time. And so everything you have on that foot is just a false version of itself. You've become the bootmaker. See, you're the artist. You're the artist that is molding and sculpting what you think that foot is, when in reality, it's got this going on the inside. Only in my case, the bulbs are spread apart and the heels are more curled in. And then you got bar that's grown and been trimmed to look normal and sole that's been allowed to grow in and look normal and everything like that, and a phony frog and stuff like that. And so, but what you really have is what I'm showing you where I'm at now. Because see, this frog here was pushed way up in the foot like that, when all of this should have been way back here. And so, if I show you this other picture, see, I'm trying to get it into your head what goes on in these feet. Let me find this other picture here. Right here. Let's go back to here again. Okay, so this foot was up here. And as I trimmed the heel down, it pulled all this down. Well, you got inside there, back here is your frog corium, back here. So you go over here, and this part that was supposed to be up here pulled down. See what it did to the frog right here? See how it's pushed it forward?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is all connected together. So when this comes up and back, it's got to pull that whole frog back too. Now this frog is supposed to be behind the heels. Okay? Behind the heels. And I've got a few wild horse pictures that show that pretty good. So when you look at my horse's foot here, like who was I talking to? Oh, okay. I was talking to a gal who's having some problems. She said, well, what about your horse? I said, well, my horse's feet are not finished. Now you would think, well, why should you be listening to me? I mean, my horse's feet aren't finished. Well, I trimmed the feet out of my horse for 10 years, and then it's been taken another, what is it? That was 2005. I started trimming the farrier trimmed them screwy before that. What is the true foot of the horse? See, a lot of this time has been trying to figure out, well, what the heck is a true foot of the horse here? Well, I know what it is now. Okay. And so I can look at my horse's foot and I know where I'm at in that process. And I could have been further ahead if I would have known that a number of years ago. I've learned things just in the last 6-7 months that have made a difference for my understanding, especially in how much this frog gets shoved forward under the foot, and where is it supposed to be? Where is it supposed to be? So then here we go. Okay, now this foot here, see, I have kept bringing the bars back, and the back of the foot keeps expanding, keeps it. This frog, if I was to take you and show you the last 4 or 5 trims, you'll see the whole frog moving back, the apex of the frog continually moving back this way, and the whole foot, the dorsal wall, everything shifting and bringing the sole back under the foot where it belongs. And finally, I'm looking at it, I'm going, my God, what is going on with these heels? Why are they so curled? Because that's where they grew from. That's where, look at here. We go here again. Where am I at? Okay, so look at where the heels are going to be eventually shoved way forward to. So that when all this expands back, well, then chances are your capsule heel is still going to be right here. So that is what I am dealing with now in this foot. As this frog, see this area right here? Right here?
Yes.
This whole thing was clear up in here. Like that. Okay? They're not even hardly supposed to have any indentation here at all. And so all of this is coming back, and what'll happen is the foot will spread out. This frog here will wind up being back here, and these heels will unfurl and well, already here where this heel busted, I have a new type of wall growing in from a different location, because where the horse got injured and it released that part of the foot, he started growing heel clear back here, not up here. See, his new heel position that he's growing from where, because of the injury, because look, it cracked off the heel. And so, I mean, when he pulled his foot out of the fence, it cracked that heel off. So he's got a big crack right here, and he's got a whole new wall growing right there. And it's growing from back here, not from back right here, because this whole foot is expanding. And so the real foot of these horses, they have a massive, massive frog back here that supports and stabilizes the whole back of the foot. So, this is where I'm at. And what is this about? This is about, I always knew that the whole thing about the wild horses is true. That it had to be true, that there was something about their feet that was correct, that you didn't need shoes. And so all of this for me has been to get to understand what that was, and to see if that same anatomy was on my horse's foot. And it is. It's on every single horse. See? So So I did an experiment and I hope I'm not going to be sorry. Okay, now look here. You see how his bulbs are still wrapped in there?
Yeah.
That you see that? This is periopal, another periopal rope growing over the whole darn thing. The whole foot has continued to unfurl, 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 and move back because the main part of your horse's foot is behind the pastern, not in front of it. See, do you understand what I mean by that?
Yes.
They have massive heels.
Do you always take your grinder to get rid of the periopal rope right there? So it will.
Yes. Yeah, I do. Here, hold on just a second.
Okay. Hmm.
Okay, sorry about that. I had to answer that. So, see, there's more. Look, and even if you look at this frog right here, everything's holding that. Well, if I release that, my heels are still right here, but the part that grows the heel is going to be back here. And so now this heel, and of course, that could have been why that one curled in more too, because can you see where it busted here? See that?
Yeah.
Okay, so when the back part of this foot expands, the part that actually grows the heel is going to be back here now. But I still have old heel up here. So now the problem becomes, how do I deal with that? So I've been thinking about, well, could I put some glue on shoes on him and just cut those heels off and support the whole thing and do a prosthetic to let the, because see, I don't want to let the foot down because you know what happens then, right? His foot wants to be up in the air, and so he will just take that wall and curl it around in here like that.
Yeah.
So so I did something. I don't know if it's right or wrong or indifferent. I'll find out. I could have screwed him up. But I did this number. Just a minute. Let's see what it looks like from the side. See? So, I don't know what's going to go on here because that's permanently detached, other than it adhered right in here. Okay, but he started growing wall up here, but look how his heel cracked off right there. And when all this happened, I did not notice this here. So man, he really, really wedged his foot into something there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I do, I decided that I was going to take off part of that bent in heel to see if it would help it. I don't know. I'll let you know. Maybe it might have contracted his heels. I don't know. But I didn't do like a ramp or anything like that. But do you see where I took off part of that?
I do.
So I don't know. We'll see. It didn't affect him at all. Doesn't seem to bother him. But I also see where when all this comes out, all this is going to have to come undone. You know what I mean? It's going to have to
Mhm.
uncurl and unfurl. And so now you know where I'm at there. So, if you want to go running away and find somebody else to follow, you know, because I'm boldly going wherever I think I ought to go to try and get the foot I'm supposed to get. But the rest of his foot looks good. The toe is the best it's ever been and stuff like that. But the back of that foot. So what I did in this trim was, because I have a lot of sole in the toe, a lot, a nice big beautiful thick sole ridge. This is all hard as a rock. This is live sole, not hard sole. Live sole. Live sole is not hard, by the way. Okay. Um, it's it's alive. And so it's a little easier to trim and cut than hard dead sole. And so he's got really great sole in the toe. And but the back here, it's a little thinner because that part's been covered up. See? But it is gradually growing in. And so anyway, I guess that was his foot to start. You see what I did? I just took off some of that curled in heel buttress there. We'll see how that works out. I'll let you know, because that was when did I do that? Oh, do.
Did you file?
I think I did it with the electric grinder. So I'm not telling anybody to do this. All right.
Yeah. Mhm.
But I'm looking at this foot. I'm going, look at how these heels are curled in. What am I going to do? How am I going to get those to uncurl? So, I just took part of them off. So we'll see. Maybe I'll go out there. Well, actually, I had to change his bandage a couple times, but I never took pictures since I did this. So I didn't know it was that long ago. Yeah, where does time fly to? Um, so, but he's healing up good considering how he tore that whole thing off. And what was interesting was, this is the foot that I did all those experiments on, of expanding the cartilage and everything like that. And the pictures of that particular side of the foot. And so just how awful is that it had to be this foot, you know,
Yeah.
and stuff. So anyway, that's now that is the other side of his foot. Okay, but see how the heels are still forward here. But you look at
Mhm.
it, they're supposed to be back here, growing from back here, but they're not. That part that grows that is still kind of covered up, you know, that coronary band lip that lips out here that grows that heel buttress. See, these are still curled in like so. Oh, that's a little clearer. See, an interesting thing too, his feet used to be totally black till they were bound. And then as they unbind, okay, this is where all the places where the coronary band stretched out, and it destroys the pigment when you trim the heels out and bind these feet. And of course, these are the back feet. So, I'm still headed in that direction myself,
Mhm.
people. You know, uh, I'm real happy with what's going on with this foot, because this heel was totally run forward, and this area here was clear up here at one time. So it's a slow process, and you go back and forth. You go back and forth because a lot of times you make mistakes and you don't trim things right, and it sets you back, or you just don't go forward, or you just don't understand what's going on. Because what we're doing here is groundbreaking.
It's hard
Yeah, it's
too.
hard. It's really hard,
Mhm.
you know? And, I'd like to just be able to present you with this set of feet that were all perfect and everything because, okay, so I found out that we were trimming out the heels January 1st, 2016. Okay, and what is it now? 24. So how long have I been trying to restore this horse's feet? Because I didn't know. I thought it was just, okay, we just got to grow heel buttress. I never knew these feet were bound, ever, ever. I didn't know about frog stays. I didn't know any of this stuff that we're telling you today. I just thought, oh, well, we just got to grow heel back in. No, 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 because it deforms the whole darn foot. Again, we go back to this foot here. Okay, pulls the coronary band down like this, forces all the horn tubules forward like so. Okay, now if you're in a trimmer like I was, the whole time that I'm deforming the back of the foot, I'm keeping the toe back. So I present a really little compact foot by what I was doing. Okay, but then you see here, after the foot rested, after it got out of the capsule, it hadn't been trimmed bad enough, long enough that it was permanently going to want to stay there. That cartilage went ahead and pulled it back up to where it was supposed to be. See? So, again, you're not just growing heels, you are undeforming a whole foot. This is not an easy task. Figuring out what to do, like figuring out right now, right now, trying to help a gal who's got a foot just like this. Okay, I'd rather deal with almost anything than contracted heels. Trying to get these heels apart, but I know it can be done. But it ain't gonna happen overnight. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Why would not a horse like this be sore? Obviously was, he's dead. But why would not a horse like this not be sore, right? Sore footed?
I would think so.
So anyway, sitting here hacking. Take a drink of water. Okay, so you can't be trimming the toe back all the time. Because it'll make the foot bend back from in front. And when you trim the heels out all the time, it's either going to pull the coronary band down to like your 30-degree angle ideal barefoot hoof model, or keep making their own heels and pulling in the wall. Okay, look here. See, I like to explain it different ways so I myself understand it better. So you see how the wall is longer over here and it gets narrower here, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so as you trim these heels out, it'll take this narrower part of the wall here and it will pull it around like this as you lower the heels, just because this part of the foot wants to stand up, be off the ground. They don't want their bulbs on the ground because they weren't designed to be on the ground. Like my nose doesn't want to be over smashed onto the side of my face because it was not designed to be there. And that's anatomy. That anatomy was designed to be in a certain spot. So look at this frog. What frog? See, when all this happened, what happened to the frog? Well, you kind of see what happened to the frog there. Uh, first of all, it's got little scabbies all over it. So it was affecting the very frog corium itself. And, it shouldn't even be that color. So all this frog pulled in this way and then sucked up into the foot like that. So this foot would have been like bent together. Would have probably had a real steep dorsal wall. Probably like some of them that I've shown. Those little feet that then they expand as you start growing heel to them. So, okay, well, anyway, let's see. Let me undo that. All right. Well, anyway, anybody got any comments or do we need to go back to Roberta's foot?
Linda, this is Julia. Can I make a comment?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I would like to. Well, I would like to say that I was amazed when you came up with the pictures of Valor's hoof when you discovered the actual shoe, which was the sole corium, and then the white line, the water line, and the hoof wall. And it showed the natural shoe that the horse was meant to have. Now that was spectacular to me, and I've never forgot that visual. And I don't know if that's easy for you to find and post today, but in light of all of the contracted hooves we see, and the dysfunctional frogs, that was a beauty. So if you are able to or feel like it, either repost it or share it with the group today, because I loved that.
Okay, I think I know where maybe there might be something close to that. Let me see here.
That's pretty much all I'm going to say. My hoof is I'm struggling with the idea of how far down to take the sole. So I'm trying to glean what you have to say, especially in the heel quarters, the fake heel quarters right now.
Yeah, I know.
And
it's all fake.
She's shedding. So I'm just going to be conservative, and maybe I can post pictures later.
Okay. Yeah, the
Thank
faux
you.
foot. We'll call it the faux foot.
The faux foot, yeah. Thank you.
False hoof. Like falsehood, but it's false hoof.
Yeah, and yet it's still the biggest hoof in the barn, even if it's not completely unfurled.
See, isn't that something?
Oh yeah.
That they get such tiny feet.
I cannot believe what farriers are doing. It's hard to not see, and it pains me, and I just have to button my lip until somebody asks. But I'm thankful. I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for how you've helped me save Aria. So
oh well, she's beautiful,
and she feels good in her feet, which I'm so happy.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thanks for those good words, and because that's encouragement.
Definitely am with you all the way.
And stuff. Well, I appreciate you, Julia. I appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate just your friendship and the dedication that you have to your horses. Just real thankful, because you know what this is all about. This is all about the truth. Really.
Yes, it is.
So
your research is just amazing. I'm always looking for ways to share your research with veterinarians here, because that's science for them, and that's what they're going to listen to. So I'm going to keep doing that.
Well, good. Well, hopefully someday we'll get it organized to where it's more shareable.
Well, yeah, hopefully so, but you're a busy lady, so.
Okay, I think I found maybe something. Well, this isn't that good, because it's where the foot started really getting that sole and the back of the foot expanding, but the heels were staying put, which makes the foot look odd and weird. So let me see here.
It's actually very reassuring to see odd and weird looking feet because that's what we are all experiencing as the feet change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I know it looked like a shoe. It really
yeah,
did look like somebody put a really nice shoe on your horse.
yeah. But then the heels weren't the real heels. And
No.
so then when I started working on the back of that foot to unbind it, then the heel part of that shoe uh wasn't there no more because it wasn't the
Ah.
real sole in the heel, you know. So I got something more like this here. Oh, let's see. New share. Wait. Hold on. I'll just take
Oh,
you through and show you what I'll just share this foot with you here. Oh well, darn. Just a second. Okay. So the right date is not on this because I didn't have the date set on my camera, but it's like about maybe 3 months ago. And so he's
okay.
always had this crack because not always, but from barefoot trimming. Okay. Uh, and so he's due for a trim here. And so from barefoot trimming, and you trim the back of the foot down, it runs all the horn tubules forward, and then they all push into each other, and they got to right here and said, and these ones said, no, you're not going to push us, and that's where you get a crack. That's why you get a quarter crack. That's why you get any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is before he got his injury, and so I'm just taking before pictures, and my thing is right at this time, what I'm thinking of is taking down toe to take it back, and trying to open up the heels, trying to move the whole foot back. And on this foot and the other foot, and I'm measuring because I want to know how much I have to work with, you know, because the foot itself is about 2.5 inches. So 2.5 to 2 3/4.
That's great information too.
And so I wanted to know in this trim if my frog apex was in about the right spot. So you want that, you know, and this is okay. So this is not an exact science here. To find that frog apex. This is just a guide along with other things to find the true apex of the frog. Because here's another thing, the true apex of the frog moves. As this whole foot shifts back and brings this sole back under the foot where it belongs. So let me see. Okay, so from right here, let me get a different deal. Right there. If you can get a total side view and come down, that's going to give you a general location. If then you picked up the foot and you drew across about where the true apex of the frog is. Now what happens is when you're doing it like this and you're sighting from up there, okay, you can wind up getting a little too far forward or a little too far back, something like that. And so you don't want to just go, oh, well, you draw a line here. Well, that's it. And then you're going to force your frog apex back to there. This is only as a general guide, not a dyed in the wool rule, you know, but anatomically, generally, if you could go straight down through the foot to right there, you would find the true apex of frog be right about in that vicinity. So this is just a guide. Okay, so let's see here.
Linda,
Right. Yeah.
Is it still reasonably accurate to do like we've always done on the sole and find where the apex blends into the sole?
Yeah, that's
I
the
have
other part.
I have a
That
horrible time doing it from the side like this.
yeah,
I'm way off.
that's okay. And it's just this is just an extra help. You know what I mean? And so then next, see, I'm not too bad. Okay, then I do there, and so then I draw it over. We'll see where it's at. Because see, when your apex starts looking like that, something's kind of funky going on. Okay, and uh, so what I saw here, I saw my line is here, but just because my line is there, even if it's right, okay, and even if I wind up trimming that apex back, and it actually winds up being there, that doesn't mean I'm going to want to necessarily take my toe down or back to where it would be 1 1/4 inches. Okay, because that might be too much. That foot isn't ready for that. So see, this isn't a hard and fast rule. When these frog apexes decide to move, you may not want to be taking your toe down and back that much, even if that's probably where the toe will wind up in the end. And when that toe does move back like that, you're going to find that you have a steeper dorsal wall, because I am becoming convinced that these front feet are steeper, maybe steeper than the back feet even, because you think everything they've taught us is pretty much not true, right? And so for how long have they been saying, oh, this back feet are steeper, have a sharper angle than the fronts? Well, what if they don't? What if the front feet actually have a sharper angle? I mean, I don't know. I'm not into angles. I'm not going to go there ever. But I just noticed that on a lot of these wild horses, man, they got some pretty steep dorsal walls, you know? So perhaps they're more steep than what we thought once, because it's not about angles. It's not about bone angles or nothing else. It's just about fitting the capsule to the foot the way it's supposed to fit. That's all. And then all that other stuff just takes care of itself, you know? So, okay. So I felt like I got pretty close, but like measure 10 times, cut once, you know? But see, I'm looking too at my horn tubules. Like they kind of got forward there, didn't they? You know, so even though you're trimming, and you might, I've got other pictures where you can see these horn tubules all in alignment here. So gradually, I wasn't paying attention and these grew forward, and that can happen pretty easy. And when that happens, it's going to push your toe forward too sometimes. So I just wanted to take a lot of pictures to understand. Okay, so why do we measure the dorsal wall? Again, to see how much sole we have to move to work with. As well, we want to look at the hairline here, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, so this is just me trimming and taking pictures so I can look at them and see if we're kind of in sync here. And so we see that obviously the wall is the longest in the center, and then it gets gradually shorter as it moves around the corners. And so when I look at this line here, these horn tubules should not be longer than this right here. And guess what? They are. So I know here that I'm going to have to move back this up or work with it anyway. So, and of course I take pictures of every bit of the foot, different angles, the whole thing. Come on. You gonna quit on me? Okay, there's our handy dandy tools. Okay, so I was just doing this to make some video, or to make some pictures of mapping, but see how long that frog looks? And plus there's my line, so I'm like wondering, you know, if it's ready, if that frog is ready to move back. Okay, then I'm just doing these to do mapping. Okay, so protractor up the middle, draw a line down the middle, and then what I do? I decided to draw a line where my line from when I measured down the side is telling me my true apex is moving back to. Because see, my foot's coming unbound here, and it's pulling that whole frog corium back like this. That's why the apex of your frog would pull back, because the corium itself is being pulled back in the foot. And as it does so, you know, it doesn't just shove the frog corium forward, it shoves the sole corium forward too and puts pressure on it. So when the frog corium pulls back, the sole will pull back with it as well. Because it's like one big fat Dr. Scholl's gel pad sock on there. Okay, so this concerned me. See, that's why you wouldn't just want to cut to there, because like what you were saying, Marilyn, you got to trim down in here and find where the sole merges with the frog. Okay, and that's where your true apex is. And so the frog grows and it lays over the sole and gets pushed forward. But when this part of the foot back here is releasing and pulling out and pulling that whole frog corium back, well, then it's going to pull the true apex of the frog corium itself back. And so this won't be the true apex of the frog anymore. And what happens is you'll dig that out and you'll find there's sole growing under there. Because see, this all happened while the horse is out running around in between trims, that the frog corium pulled back like that. And a lot of times it pulls the sole corium back as well. And so then when you trim that back, you find there's sole growing under there. Let's see. I don't know why my camera wants to do that to me. Okay, so mapping the heels. What I have, 2¼ inch heels there. Well, that's pretty good. Okay, mapping the frog here. My frog is in alignment. See there? My frog is in alignment. So we map the frog to from the front of the frog. If you are following the frog down like that, and then your frog gets about here and goes out there, your heels have been trimmed out, but instead of going narrow or just kind of normal, they've pulled out this way and made the foot real wide in the back. That would stretch the frog corium apart and make it very wide in the back. And then you wind up trimming to the distortion of that frog. And your heels will stay way, way wide and forward. Okay, whatever you say. Okay, so yeah, I'm just there. See, I mapped my frog. Okay, now I got some pictures of a back foot. This is how I found that out. So the heel was splayed out on the back of the foot and way over like that. And the frog had been pulled out that way, and the bar, so that the frog was way out here. And I was trimming the bar and the frog to the distortion. And one day I decided to trim this frog in like that. And I looked in here and the whole heel was busted off down here. And I didn't even know it, because I was trimming to the distortion. And a lot of times we do wind up trimming to the distortion rather than trimming to the anatomy. Like if I didn't take this frog apex back, I would be trimming to the distortion that's still in the foot. See, you have to trim these frog apexes back, because otherwise how can this frog corium move back if it's being welded at the tip by a big fat dead frog apex? Okay, so get the mapping done. And now got to decide what to do. Okay, so gotta map the bars, see where I'm at. And so I have decided to do it kind of twice, like this would have been where I mapped it before when the apex was there. I'll make it bigger. But now I'm thinking maybe my true apex really is here. I'm not going to cut it to there yet, because I'm going to explore right here and start trimming this back to see where the frog merges with the sole. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to lay the protractor on the dot. If it would have been here, that'd have been fine too. And then I bring it up against the heel. When you got heels, if you're still growing heels, it's been a long time since I had to still grow heels. So, still you would just bring it up to the edge of the heel, wherever that is. Okay, so I'm pretty close still. Look there. Okay, and again, this is sole that's being uncovered as all of this is moving, and this whole back of the foot is unfurling. Okay. So that's what I wound up with right there. And what I've been finding is usually wherever this X is right here is pretty close to being the widest part of the foot. The capsule anyway. I don't know about the foot, but the capsule it is. And I hear a dog crying in there. She wants out. Okay, let's see. Let's see what we got here. Yep. See there? Maybe a little higher up here. But anyway, pretty close to the widest part of the capsule. Okay, how do you tell the widest part of the capsule? Now in paint, I can do it. Is you go like this, okay, and wherever it touches, that's pretty much it. Pretty close. So close. We're close there. Let's see. Okay. All right. So this minute here. Okay, so I've got my 1.5 inches there. I think. I hope I was on an inch. Measure twice, cut once. Sometimes, it might be a little off. But anyway, I'm going from where the apex of the frog was, and as you can see, it's to the white line there. So it would make me pretty nervous if I found my true apex here to just take the toe back. That's an extensive amount to move a toe. I would not want to do that. Now, years ago, I just thought you should do that, so I would. But you know what? Your horse will wind up being sore if you do that. So I would not do that. Now I'm gonna see what I mean. Okay, so there from if the true apex of the frog, if that frog corium has moved back that far, okay, and I'm talking about the corium itself, then that is telling me, and if you look at the side of the foot, I mean, you can see that his toe looks pretty far forward, and you can see his sole ridge. So, but it's not a stretch to know that a foot can move back that far and underneath the actual foot. And so I'm not just going to want to take a toe back like that. Not today anyway. There was a time when, like they say, like I said, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. So this is telling me where the new position of the foot will probably might be at some point. Okay. Okay, so now I'm just doing some measuring, and you can see that toe is pretty far forward. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just gonna start. What I decided to do is just start taking the wall down. See, flat like that, but taking more toe from here to here than heels, because I've been leaving heel. Okay, so I took that foot down. That's what it did look like. Let me move this. Or no, that's what it looks like now that I just took down that much. Let me show you what the other picture looked like. Oh, let's see here. I can find it. Okay. Okay, so that's what it was. And this is just what I've taken down to by taking rasping flat, like taking off, just leaving heel, but just taking off a little wedge there. Like less here, more here. That's what I did. And I'm paying attention to the moonsicle too. And like, okay, so I know this side of my foot is kind of distorted and deformed and forward. And so this growth ring here and the distance from here to here, I'm just looking for some symmetry here to see kind of what's going on, how I'm trimming. So I took down some more. See, and now I'm into the sole ridge. But remember, I know that I have something to work with. I have at least 1/4 of an inch that I can take down that I can work with in here. And I'm paying special attention to the sides of the toe, making sure I take that down so that I'm shaping my foot like a foot and not leaving it square or round. Okay. Okay, so I took it down a little more. And so you know what you're doing when you're doing that? You are backing the toe up. Okay? You're taking it down, but as you take it down, it is backing the toe up and stuff. But you got to have some sole to do it. Okay? And so I had drawn this line on the growth ring there at the toe so I could watch how, as I took that down, because I can't remember if how much I had there, but so I'm watching it, and I'm also at the same time, you know what you're doing? You're feeling the sole with your thumb, and you're looking at this bowl in the sole and kind of judging how much sole you have as you're taking the toe down. Again, I'm not hardly taking any heel at all. I'm just taking from right here down. Less here, more in the toe area. And so that is how I am bringing the toe back, by taking it down. I'm not doing like a heavy bevel or anything like that. I'm making sure, again, that my foot is shaped like a foot so that I'm taking enough from the toe quarters here. And this is flat. This is flat. I am making a flat surface here. Okay, see, I took it down a little more, paying attention to kind of everything going on here, the symmetry, the growth rings. Now this side is going to be a little funky lower, because of the distortion over here is different with that heel pushed forward. Okay, now that looks weird, don't it? See how I brought the toe back, but the heels are in the same spot? Isn't that weird? So when you bring the toe back like that, it will push the foot back. It gives a whole different form to the foot. But look what's happened is, look how the horn tubules are straighter instead of run forward. Now, in reality, this would be more his true foot right here, but his heels are still in the same spot. But I don't want to put these horn tubules at a different angle. I want them to stand up like that. And then I'm going to work with this and with the back of the foot to try and get these heels, to try and release this more and to try and get these heels back. Let me see what I was going to do. New share. Oh, wait. What was I doing? Oh, annotate. Okay. So, where am I at here? Okay, so there's that horn tubule right there. I don't want that to be there. I want that to come up and move back and be about here. See? Now, remember this one here? He was right way forward here, but now just shortening the toe. See how it's backed him up? Okay, so I'm going to want to work with all these horn tubules to get them all in alignment, to have them be shorter than this one here, because that's the true way they line up and they're supposed to be. And the back of this foot will unfurl more to come back here to where my heels eventually should be about here. So as I'm doing all this and I'm taking pictures and I got in my head that I know what his real foot is, it's still in there somewhere. And, you know, and I do all this, and believe me, I have no soreness. I have nothing. I mean, he's fine. So I backed up the toe. Let me see here. Let me undo that. And that's where I'm at right there with that. No bevel yet or anything. And so I would take pictures and I would look. Now I can look at the back of this and see how it curls. I know that's not supposed to be there. Why is that? Because the heels are still curled in like that. But the good thing that's happening here is that whole sole is coming under the foot where it belongs. That frog is pulling back to where it's supposed to be, and eventually these heels will uncurl and this foot will fully extend in the back. I'm going to have a steep dorsal wall, not because I cut it, but because I grew and moved the foot back to where everything is supposed to be to begin with. Now here is what I have so far and what I've done. And so you were talking about the horseshoe. Okay, well, on the front of the foot, he's got the horseshoe, his own shoe. But on the back of the foot, we're still working on getting all that to unfurl and uncurl and release and unfold parts of the foot that have been covered up for a long time. And see, I know that when they uncover that they regrow again, because I've seen it so many times happen, and that it's like grass. You cover it over. I mean, grass, I'm sure you cover it over long enough, it dies. But this don't die. It will come to life again. Okay, so now do you see why you wouldn't want to take those heels down? What would that do? It set all those horn tubules going forward like this more. You want all these horn tubules to stand up and come back and come to the length that they're supposed to be. So if you were to lower the heel, see, what we don't realize is on this horse, this is what his true hairline is supposed to be. This is where his foot really wants to be, where the cartilage wants to be. It doesn't want to be pulled down to the ground here. His bulbs want to be up like this. Originally, if he would have been allowed to develop his true foot, his dorsal wall would have been very steep. The back of his foot would have been huge. Okay, so anyway, so wound up about here. But look at my heels, how curled in they are. Why is that? Because this whole part of the foot is moving back. As the true apex of the frog moves back, okay, it pulls all the sole back under the foot with it. Because see, it's all seamless and connected together. And then, but the heels aren't moving. They're curled in as everything is moving back. And so I have not trimmed the true apex of the frog back yet, but I have brought the toe back some by taking it down. See, I would not ever now just take a toe back like that. Like never, never. Okay, so, looks a little strange because you're used to seeing this hairline down to here, and because the cartilage is still bound somewhat and the heels are still bound somewhat, they really should be, if they came uncurled, they'd be clear back here. Okay, but I got pictures of wild horse feet that it's almost like they're on stilts. They have a straight hairline, hardly any slant to it at all. But we're not used to seeing that. See, we're used to seeing this foot, it's got this hairline, goes like that. Well, that's really not their true foot. Oh yeah, let's soak that in water. Put a sock on it. Okay, then I was working with that heel. And I think that time what happened was I did not, oh, did I? Maybe I did. Let's see. See if I took pictures of the bottom of the foot. This might have been the next trim. Let's see. Okay, that's the other foot. Oh my, look, retracted sole. Okay, so you know what that is? That's because the walls are moving back and the toe was stretched forward. And when the wall moved back, it just pushed the sole right back. That's all that happened there. So this is another apex that moved way, way back. And trying to fix that foot, which I fix it real well. Okay, so that's that foot again. See, I forgot to take pictures of the bottom of that foot when I cleaned the frog out. Let's see what I got here. Okay, so there's that foot. There's that foot that I trimmed. This is the next trim because I forgot to take pictures of the bottom of that foot. And you can see where the frog apex was up here and it literally moved clear back to here. See, and look here, look at the bulbs. They aren't as turned in as they were. And the frog is actually wider in the back. So, okay. So anyway, this is just me sharing with you my imperfect feet that are headed in that direction. It's been a while since I trimmed that foot. So this is the other foot, I think. This is the other foot.
Linda,
Yeah.
do you have pictures of how you bevel then after you rasp it flat?
Well, I just stand there and I mark it. I mark off all the horn tubules that are the hardest outer horn tubules. And here. And I just leave some of the water line there. But see, it might look severe from here. Okay? But when you look at the side of the foot, it's hardly anything. See there?
Okay.
Yet I've taken all the hard tubules back. But yet there, but see, it's a slight bevel, but it looks more severe than it is, because if you look here, okay, see there the wall,
Uh-huh.
okay, but okay. Okay, but see, I just take the hardest outer horn tubules. Now, sometimes on certain areas, if I'm working with tubules, I'll take this wall clear up to the white line and sometimes through the white line. There, okay? But it's not a severe bevel, but it's really important that you get the leverage off those outer horn tubules from the bottom. See? But it's not a severe bevel. It's not, see there? And what I'll do is I take it off from the top, or not the top, from the bottom, but then I just take my rasp and the small teeth, and I just make sure that the sharp edge here is smoothed out. It's a very, very light bevel, but it removes the outer hardest horn tubules, so there is no leverage, and so they can move. See? Those will move just with that. See, it's not a lot. But again, sometimes I do take it out. Anyway. Anyway, so there's my imperfect feet that I'm still working on. And I wind up trimming to the distortion too and taking back. And I don't always know what exact decision to make, just so you know. We're still learning how to deal with this. You know what I mean? So anyway, okay. That's all I got for today. Does anybody else have anything they want to say?
One more question.
Okay.
Do you do anything from the top of the hoof, or do you do all of it, including the smoothing off and everything from the bottom?
Well, sometimes I'll do the quarters from the top. Sometimes I'll set it on there just to smooth out the sharp edges. But no, I don't do anything from the top other than that. I never rasp down the upper hoof wall. That's not to say I wouldn't. Maybe in a certain situation or something, like sometimes I like to do the quarters right here from the top and just take them way over to give them some relief. But that's it. So
Linda, if no one else has got a question, my question can wait till another hoof chat, but it is in connection with this toe area and how to know when you can take more. So I don't know. I know you said you've got limited time today as well, so maybe next hoof chat.
okay. Well, we can talk more about that then, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you saying next hoof chat or now?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Can we do it next hoof chat, because I gotta go get my son from work here in a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for today. It's been fantastic.
Hey, well, you guys are great, and you know what? I'm sorry I don't have perfect feet to show you. Like, I'm not there yet either, But remember, this is a research group, right? I do research. That doesn't mean that I've found all the answers yet, or that, well, actually I found a lot of the answers, but it's just getting there. Like, I'm understanding more and more and more the true foot of the horse all the time, but getting there is another thing. See? And some of it's going to depend on whether a horse has really severe damage or not. Like this foot is a nemesis, you know, stuff like that. Well, I've got two back feet that are nemesises to me. And I've been slower on the back feet because I keep not trimming the frogs like I should. But I'll tell you what, they've really been expanding. And if I were to take and show you what they were to what they are now, it's like night and day. Now you can see how as the back of this foot is unfurling, how it's getting hollow in the heels. Remember, I showed you pictures where my feet had full sole in the heels, right? Well, that wasn't the real heel. Okay, so the real heel and the real sole has been covered up. So as this all unfurls and uncurls, it's uncurling that area that hasn't had sole growing in it for ever. Well, maybe, but who knows when, so well, okay. I guess that's all I got. So does anybody else have anything they want to say? Okay, well, that's anticlimactic, but okay.
Thank you so very much.
Hey, been great here being with you guys today. I always learn something.
Thank you, Lynn.
Even if I learn a mistake or anything like that, I learn something. Okay, guys, you have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye, Linda. Bye,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.